All right, what's going on? Kevin Holt here with Ball Her Hoops. Back at you again with another episode. This time we're back with the Fire 15, our second edition. This is the post-Thanksgiving edition. Want to shout out, before we get to the Fire 15, shout out to the Charlotte Hoops Challenge, Late's Giving, Mallet Creek Showcase that they had, even the Headliners event. A lot of good girls events going on in the area and in North Carolina, period. I think that's a great thing for basketball. At the end of the day, this is about basketball and girls continue to grow in the game of basketball. I think North Carolina is far behind some of the other states as far as like coverage and players being recognized for their accomplishments and just them playing overall. So shout out to all those event holders that had something, especially Charlotte Hoops Challenge. Love the atmosphere there. There's a couple tweaks that I would love for it to happen, but that'll be for another day. Of course, I would love to sit down and talk with some people about it, but I think overall it was a great event. Of course, you had a lot of big name players there, and it turned out to be a successful thing for all people involved. So get to the nitty gritty, get to the Fire 15. Got a couple, of course, we always start from 15 to 1, and we'll start with the honorable mentions. I got Ardrey Kell. Ardrey Kell is an honorable mention. I was really on the cusp of having them as 15 or 14, but with their loss to Lake Norman, I kind of held off. But they played a really good game against Hickory Ridge. I watched a little bit of it. Molly Burns has been really good for them. She's had a good season. Of course, everyone is expecting her to just continue to grow. But also Autumn Washington. They had a couple of the Brady kid was really good. I think I always say her name wrong. I don't know if it's Evans or Miller, but she was also good for them. So they're going to be a team to watch as they continue to grow. Coach Rory does a great job with that team, getting them prepared for games. And then I had Julius Chambers. Julius Chambers is a team where, of course, they've lost so much, pretty much their whole team from the past year, and now they're still a team that's maybe not a state champion contender, but they're still going to contend in their conference. I can see them being maybe third in their conference and fighting those top two teams. I think top two teams in that conference, of course, will be North Meck and Mallet Creek, but I still think they have to worry about Chambers. Chambers is not going to just back down. They have good guards. They have a lot of length on their team as well and athleticism. So I think they'll be a team to watch as well. So starting number 15, I have South Meck. Tough loss to Cannon without star Betsy Burnett. I don't know if the game would have been different, but of course she brings a dynamic to the team that would be much missed. Katie Hout, congratulations on your commitment. She was big. She committed to Roanoke. She was big for them. She had a lot of good shots. She made some buckets. She got her team going. Anastasia Sinclair was good as well. And then don't forget about the freshman Gabby. She was also good. But I think they're still finding themselves, especially without Bessie. We're gonna have a next big game. I'm gonna talk about everybody's next big game in the top 15. And their next big game is against Legion Collegiate out of South Carolina. I think it's on a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're playing in one of the showcase events. But that'll be a good game. Legion Collegiate has some size and some good guards as well. So that'll be a good game. And number 14, new team to the Fire 15. They were on it last year for like a week or two. Northwest Cabarrus. This is a team that may not be known by a lot of people, but they have some talent. Kennedy, I don't want to even try her last name, but she's a really good guard. Played for Team United over the summer. And she's a really good, forward that helps them win games. They've won a lot of games last year, and they look to only improve this year. They got a couple other good freshmen in there as well that will help them make a run in the playoffs. I think they're a 3A team. So their next big game is against West Rowan, another 3A team that's going to be a contender to try to get to the state championship. At number 13, I have Northside Christian. Northside Christian is taking a couple losses. They lost a lot of games, or 2 games in Florida. And then they lost to Winston-Salem Christian regional team. But they're still a solid team. They came back from those 3 losses and beat O'Neill School, which is a 1A school that, of course, you want to beat the 1A schools if you're a 1A team. That helps your standing out when it comes to the playoffs. But their next big game is against Victory Christian. Victory Christian is a tough 1A team. I have them not on the list, but they're kind of on that cusp too. They had a really good game against PD that I'll kind of talk about later. But I got Northside Christian at number 13. Shout out to the coaches over there. Number 12, and another new team was in the Fire 15 probably the whole season last year, Newton Conover. Newton Conover has their star back in Cassidy Gaddis. Still one of the better guards in not only the area, but probably the state. She's a dynamic guard that can score in many ways. And she has a new running mate, Lizzie Sane, 6'2" senior. She's averaging a double-double with 10 points, 10 rebounds. And I think they're a good team. Just watching little clips of them as far as like film, doing my due justice. They play against the Alexander Central team that a lot of people are high on. That'll be their next big game. So shout out to Newton Conover. And I'm going to do my job of trying to search more into the Hickory area. Even Watauga. I think Watauga's, of course, a good team. And y'all let me know if I should start thinking about putting those teams in the Fire 15. It's just hard because I like to do eye tests. A lot of the teams I've seen personally or I've watched on film. So I'm going to try to do more for that Hickory area to see exactly who they have and maybe have somebody from that area up on one of the shows. But going into number 11, Myers Park. Myers Park is the number 11 team. Tough loss against Watauga in a game in which they led for a little while, but they let them come back. Watauga's a tough team, so shout out to Watauga. But I think you won't see the best from them until they get their leader back, and that's Mia Zaris. Once Mia comes back, I think they become an even better team. But Raven Alexander has been a great addition for them. She's been really good. Reese Wilson has been knocking down shots. Jaren Truesdale doing what she does. Their next big game against Chambers. I think that'll be a good game. I don't know if Mia will be back by then, but whenever she's back, I think they become a better team. But they need to watch out for Chambers. Chambers they're not the Chambers from last year. They're a totally different team. They play different, but I think they're a little bit, I think they're quicker. They have a lot of good potential, but Myers Park would be the favorite for me in that game. Number 10, I have Independence. Lost a tough game to PD and a down to the wire game. Could have went either way. Couple missed shots, some terrible defense by Independence, and I'm sure Coach got on them about that. We got to be good on both sides of the ball because we know they can score the ball, but you got to be able to defend. So solid players from that team. Jalen Bremer had a really good game. Like what I saw from her. I think Cam Kitchen will be better. Hannah Moss was kind of a coming out party for her. She showed her intensity, but they all have to do better on defense. Their next big game is Charlotte Catholic. That'll be one of their conference opener, and that'll be a really good game. At number 9, I have West Rowan. Although they've only played one game, I've seen this team. They're a loaded team. I think they'll be really good. They have Mooresville soon. I think that'll be a good game. And then, of course, they'll play against Northwest Cabarrus, and that'll be a good game as well. At number 8, I have Charlotte Catholic. A lot of people don't agree that the whole public school versus, the one-on-one preps of the world matters. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you knew what you signed up for. Charlotte Catholic, I know they're a better team than what they showed, but the guards have to be better. No excuse. Honestly, I'm not going to make excuse for anybody. I think they'll be better as the year goes on and the guards start to learn how to get into the game. When you talk about points, I think they had 42 and Grayson and Blanca accounted for 38 of them. So your guards only gave you 4 points. That's not going to win games. I think their next big game is against Ardrey Kell or Independence, whichever one you think will be better. I think Ardrey Kell is going to challenge them because they also have some length. Maybe not as skilled and talented as Blanca and Grayson, but then again, they have the guard. Molly's going to give some fits to some people. Hopefully, Anaya will get back into it and they can make a run. I had them at number 8. Number 7, North Mecklenburg. Nevaeh Farmer's back. Anytime Nevaeh Farmer's in the rotation, your team is going to be good. She's a reigning conference player of the year, and she's just an overall good player. They're 3-0. Good win versus Porter Ridge to win the Holden Championship. But now their next big game is against Lake Norman, and that's going to be a good game. I'm not going to be able to be there because be out of town, but I think that'll be a good game. Both of those teams are hungry, and that'll be Lake Norman's first challenge as well. So that'll be a good game. At number 6, and they made a huge move on this list, Malik Creek. The addition of Elle Stone. If you haven't seen Elle Stone play, please get out and watch her. She's a dynamic guard. I think she's going to be one of the guards that a lot of people will talk about. Definitely conference, all-conference, first team type of player. Maybe even all Mecklenburg first team, realistically. She could be in a running for conference player of the year. If their record shows it, I think she could really be there. But this is a long and athletic team. I watched them play against Sun Valley. Then I didn't watch the Charlotte Country Day game, but I've heard from other people that they are looking really good. But when I watched them against Sun Valley, they were missing a couple pieces and still winning easily, putting in the bench early and still getting into it. I think their next big game is against Myers Park. Myers Park has to watch out for them because that Malik Creek team is really good. At number 5, I have Cannon. Down one spot from the last time. They started the year off with taking one to the chin to Winston-Salem Christian, national team who is probably one of the better teams in the country. After that, they've been on a tear. Couple of huge victories, and then they beat South Meck by 25 points in a game where they were down by 6. I think they're just going to have to continue to grow as a team, and then you'll see where they want to be. I think the goal is for state championship, so we'll see how that goes. But their next big game is against Camden next Saturday in South Carolina, and that is against the number 2 player in the country, and Joyce Edwards, as well as a lot of other people on that good team. Camden's no slouch, so I'm sure Cannon will have their work set out for them. So they're number 5. Number 4, Providence Day. When you say finding ways to win, this team just does that. They're led by their seniors, of course. Chandler Brooks and Jordan Latter have been a dynamic duo. Honestly, they've been setting the tone for everyone else. And then Jada McClure is also bringing great energy for that team. She makes some timely shots that help them, especially versus Victory Christian. They were down by 20 points at a time. I mean, I looked at the score, was trying to make sure it was right. It was 22-1. And next thing you know, they were coming back. Josh does a great job of adjusting. He makes some adjustments, and his team adjusts with him. They don't give up, and they keep fighting. Their next big game, in my opinion, will be against Grace Christian, who has top 5 player in the nation, Sarah Strong. At number 3, I still have Salisbury at number 3. They started the season with 2 good wins against Greensboro Day and Quality Education Academy. This team has a really good dynamic duo in Kyla Bryant and Michaela Noble. Both of them are hungry to end their senior season the way they entered their junior season, and that's with a ring. I think they have the tools to get there, and I think their next test will be against Albemarle, who's a really good team as well. They had a tough loss against Bishop McGuinness, but I think they'll bounce back, and they're fighting against good teams early, so that way when it comes to state championship time, they'll be able to compete. So that's their next big game. Number 2, I had a switch up. 101 Prep, and this is just simply because of their 3 losses. They do have 3 losses, and even though they're really good teams, we still have to count losses for something. But those games that they lost, I'm talking about IMG, Montverde, another Florida team. And, you know, they're losing by 4 points in both games to IMG and Montverde. They came back to Charlotte and North Carolina and showed their dominance against the Charlotte Observer number 1 team. I mean, Charlotte Catholic is not a slouch, and they win by 38 points. And it's just simply because of game plan and knowing what they want to do. They run their stuff, and they execute game plans very well. So it's more than just the fact that they're academy team. They're still really good, and they really buy into what their coach is saying to them. So their next big game will be in the She Got Game Classic. I know they play against Crestwood, who has a lot of talent on it. Cannon plays that team as well. So we'll be looking at some really dynamic games for them up in DC. And the last game, you got, not last game, last team, number one, I got with Lake Norman. Number one because they have not lost a game and look to be one of the more dominant teams in the area. I mean, you're talking about winning 30 plus points a game and then beating a team that's not bad in RG Kell. And they showed, like, I'm talking about the benches, whole bench is playing, and they're really good. Like, they get out early. I think I saw on their, I want to say Mr. Sirianni put it out, they're like 80, like 90 or something to 6 in their first 3 games or something like that in the first quarter. That's an outrageous number. I mean, I don't think they played the talent that they are going to play, but their next big game is against North Meg, and I think that'll be a good one. Then you got the matchup with Watauga, which will be another good one. They played each other twice last year. I think Watauga won once and Lake Norman won once, if I'm not mistaken. But that'll be a good game because Kate Sears is a dynamic guard, and she's really good. And they only have 1 loss this year as well. So between North Meg and Watauga, those are going to give them 2 good games, especially heading into conference. I think their conference is going to be loaded, and a lot of times when you get into conference, that's when people start to research, starting to see what you do well. So overall, I think it's been a good season. Please let me know if you don't agree. Tell me who should be number one. I know we've already had the Twitter discussion about 101 Academy. I think they're still one of the dominant teams. They're not in Observer. This is for all teams in the Charlotte area, and we're going to start reaching out to more cities, and it might be in the next poll. So please continue to like, comment, subscribe, follow Twitter, follow Instagram, TikTok, all those things. We're doing a great donation thing right now to where if you donate to us, we're trying to give out some great recovery supplies to some players and just to get more recognition for girls basketball overall. I appreciate everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bar Hoops, we out.